What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to T3G. Here it is Sunday, time for another catch up, a little update on what's been going on. We're a solid week and a half into this jump off January experiment, and it's going pretty dang well, if I have to say myself. Now, from last week's video, there was a ton of questions. We'll go over a few of them that I thought of. The first of which being what has been the hardest part of this project, and honestly, it's been the time management. I work 11 hours a day, 4 days a week. So between the work, and I mean, I get 15 minutes or I get a half-hour lunch, and I really can't record because my wife is sleeping because I work overnight. By the time I get to the back half of my shift, when she does go to work, I have 15-minute breaks, and that's it. So getting down here, I might be able to film something. I might, maybe, possibly be able to film something, but it really depends on the scope of the project, right? The last video that I recorded, the first half of it, which was supposed to come out last Saturday, that didn't end up taking very long to film. Took like 5 or 6 takes, but I mean, the whole thing, it's like 12 seconds long, right? So it took maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes to film at most. And yeah, that's something that I can film. You know, something like that is something I can film in those 15 minutes. But editing, properly getting stuff together, that all takes time. So, you know, 15 minutes, rarely can I get any real editing done in that time. Time management is really why the first Solo Saturday didn't go up the way it was planned, because I ended up trying to edit on an iPad because we were traveling. So, you know, that was my first time editing on an iPad. So is there a way to maybe do what I was trying to do? Possibly, but it was very much a matter of I couldn't find that resource at that time. And I was just like frustrating myself trying to do it. And I tried multiple different apps. I tried a whole slew of things. It's actually weirdly very difficult to like put footage into a project that isn't in your Photos app. So I had to like go a roundabout way to put the video into my photos, but then how do you put audio in, right? It was a very strange thing to try to edit on an iPad. I think if I practice a little more, I might be able to kind of get it, so maybe I can edit vlogs or something similar on the iPad, but I would definitely need a computer on the go. Thankfully, I have one incoming. I have one incoming next couple months. It's not anytime soon, but hey, you know, I'm gonna have a decent, I think it's a 15-inch Spectre or something like that. It's nice. I'm excited for it. My cousin Dino, who, if you watched the channel before, he is one of those 3 guys, the T3G, and he sold it to me on the cheap. He flips laptops, so he was able to give me the cousin hookup, as they say. So yeah, but that's definitely been the main challenge and the hardest part of this whole process. Now, one might ask, because again, no one asked anything, what the best part about all this is. Honestly, the mindset it's put me in, like the constantly trying to create stuff, and even when I'm like what some might perceive like slacking off, stuff is just like figuring itself out. So I was trying to figure out yesterday, I was like, oh, what do I do to film something today in addition to what I filmed last time, to still have the filmed today, edited today. And I couldn't think of anything. Just out the gate, I couldn't think of anything. And just playing some Apex Legends, I turned around to where I filmed over here, and it just kind of came. I was like, oh yeah, that's perfect. That works perfectly. If you watch the video, I essentially film myself like finishing a video, and then, you know, future me shows up. You know, very simple, obviously, but I wanted to add something to it that wasn't trying to elaborate on whatever the thing is, whatever, you know. I wasn't trying to like create a long form piece. I wanted something very short, but I wanted something new where it would also make sense. Like I have less hair. Granted, my beard appears longer, so maybe it says several days. I call it several days, but which is actually a play on a series I used to watch, which I loved. It was called 7 Days.
We have a device that can allow us to send one human being back in time 7 days.
They they could only go back in time 7 days. I loved it. That was my whole thing, is that that I'd gone back several days, which like that's way more than several days of hair growth. So I don't even know why that's where I went with it, but it is. But yeah, so it was just a matter of like, oh, how do I film something that is going to add to this without filming something entirely new, or just like really getting convoluted with the whole thing, or making it too complicated. Because again, the whole challenge is shooting with one camera, with one person, and like maybe later, I mean, obviously you can go with more cameras and different shots and different angles. Actually, my first thought for the first Solo Saturday was way more complex, and as I like thought about like, all right, I'm gonna need to do angles, I'm gonna need to do this, and then I'm gonna have to figure out a way to like essentially fake like a Jarvis kind of interface thing, and I was like, that's a lot. That's definitely a lot, and yeah, I definitely needed to scale that down. So I'm glad I did. I liked what came out, honestly. I like what came out, and I don't know, who knows? Maybe I'll expand on it, make it a longer thing, or add more to it. Who knows? But I'm still having a blast, like filming this whole thing, and really just kind of getting to explore and think about different stuff in different ways. The last travel video, the get out and see the world, that was really, it was just like a one-day thing. Like I thought of it that day. It just kind of flowed. I was talking to Hottest, and I was like, hey, how do I, like, what could I do with this? You know, I've been kind of back and forth on a couple things. And then I was like, oh, well, let me just like go out. We went and got some food, and I was like, I could film some stuff. What could I film? We were by Streets of Woodfield, and I was like, the highway's right there. And it just kind of like started to build up. So I just really like the fact that I'm thinking about like how to make more of a story, more like put something to a concept versus just get footage, right? I could always just get footage, but what does that footage do? What does it mean? So I'm really excited that that's where my head is going, even while I'm sick and my head is exploding. So it's doing double duty today. Now, the one thing I will add is that I actually am not using the list that I mentioned before. I said that I was going to take the idea from Matty Kapoya, where he had a list of all things, and kind of, if you wake up and you don't know what to film that day, you go to the list and you work on that. I'm not doing that, but I think that's because our themed days do its own thing. Like, I think they kind of inspire on their own, right? When you put a box on something, right? Monday is Mindset Monday, so it's gonna be about how, like, I actually really wanted more out of that video. I meant to do a completely different thing. I went to film more on the way, but I ended up driving on the way back from Minnesota, so there was just not really an opportunity for me to get the footage that I wanted to make it more of a storytelling way of doing it. But with that, I know where, like, what box it's in, like what I need to make a story about. And I think that's really what kind of catches people up when you're doing daily, or even when you're doing regular content. If you don't have a template, a platform of saying, hey, I'm gonna film this, especially if you don't have a niche, right? Like Hottest, for instance, he's in the automotive industry, so he always wants to have automotive content in his footage. And he knows that. He doesn't have to think about like, oh, do I like get the sunset? Do I have like a time lapse of, me working on? No, like he wants automotive footage, and that's what his thing is about. So he gets that filter of, I do want to film this, I don't want to film this, I don't need to film this. So it's much easier when you have that filter, right? If I'm doing a Tech Tuesday, I'm doing a review of some sort. I'm talking about a piece of tech, and especially now in reference and in the context of production and video making. So that just makes things easier. It makes the thought process, the conceptualization of the whole thing way more palatable. Right? You're not thinking from a blank slate, right? You're not waking up and saying, all right, I need to put out a video today. What am I putting out a video about? Especially like on days, because everyone has days where it's just like, man, it's like, you wake up on the wrong side, you slept weird, you got like a little kink in your neck. Personally, I'm sick, so it puts you in a different place physically. So then your mind is focusing on that, and it's a different kind of day. So especially in situations like that, you're just like, do I even want to do it? Like, what am I going to do a video about, right? What am I making a video about today? Like, I got to come up with something. Whereas if you say, all right, today is like Travel Thursdays, it's about travel, right? What are we going to do? What can we go check something out? Can we, like, for instance, like with this past week's video, it was very much a conceptual thing. Whereas the previous week, it was, what am I bringing with me for travel, right? I'm going to do filming on the go. I'm going to travel to a location. So what am I bringing to film? Putting that framework on the kind of video you want to put out really just makes it easier. I think realistically, that's what that list that Manny Capoya was talking about is for him. You know, he had a list of, this is what I make a video about, this is what I make a video about, etc., like, you know, topic, or, you know, product review, topic, whatever. It's the same thing. It's essentially the same thing. You know, I have a couple, like I have a lot of tech in here that I've been, you know, meaning to review for ages. So when I get to like a Tech Tuesday, that's where I'm going. I'm going to that collection of stuff. What am I talking about? Is it gonna work? Does it do its job, etc.? And now, especially with the fact that we're focusing down on production, I don't have to think, like with the headphones, I didn't have to go to the gym and see how they fit in the gym and see how they worked out. I didn't care about that. In the context that I was presenting that product, I presented the information that I needed to about that product. So same thing with, I've got this keyboard. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna do some editing with it on the go. That's where we're gonna be with that. You know, I'm not gonna talk about like, oh, can you game with this keyboard? Like, it doesn't matter if you can game with the keyboard. I'm not gaming with the keyboard. This is specific to filmmaking. So essentially it's a box within a box, right? You have, I'm gonna talk about tech. And then I'm gonna say, oh, I'm gonna talk about tech from the perspective of filmmaking. And then you're gonna say, oh, specifically within that frame, right? It's tech, filmmaking. I'm gonna talk about a lens, right? Because I've got a couple lenses. You know, maybe I've got something that I wanna talk about with a lens. Maybe I wanna talk about switching lenses. The more context you give yourself, the easier it gets to film something. I feel like I'm droning on about this, so I'm gonna leave that subject matter there. If you have any questions about what I've said today, about this whole jump off January thing, drop that down below. Maybe next week I won't have to make up my own questions, because seriously, nobody, not a single person asked a question. And I even said, what would you like to know? So I'm just saying, you know, what would you like to know? Drop a question down below. That's gonna be it for this one. Just a quick update. This is what I said Sundays were gonna be. And of course I'm gonna do another, because I feel like it's necessary. I'm gonna do another shout out to a fan of the show, a friend of the show, Uncle Peter. His music was featured yesterday on the video, and almost certainly his music will be featured in future videos. Link down below. He's doing crazy stuff with modular synth. I love, just, I didn't even know what it was until he started doing it. And I love the fact that he made a YouTube channel and now has introduced me to just a whole new thing as far as music, and I didn't even know it existed. And it's crazy, and how it works. It's just mesmerizing to watch it. And the music tracks he's put out on his channel, again, link down below. Fantastic. That's it. I'm gonna stop talking. Thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.